What's good, everyone? Welcome to the Demo Team Podcast. We're here with Hostile Array. How you doing, Brendan?
Doing pretty good, man. Thanks
We
for
got
having me
Brendan
on here.
Frey, not Brendan Fraser, Brendan Frey.
It's actually, believe it or not, this always trips people up. It's actually pronounced Fry, but I don't really give a fuck either way. So
Brendan
I just
Fraser.
Fraser.
That's my favorite show, Frasier. That's
Fraser.
Don't ask me why my name is pronounced that way. I just kind of roll with it. I don't really care either way, though.
Like, let's dig. What's behind the name? Is that like Nordic or something?
It's like behind the behind the band. What was that series called?
behind the
Behind the
music.
music.
Yeah.
And we're doing behind the name.
There's nothing special to it. It's just German stuff. I have no idea why it's pronounced that way. It's probably from immigrating here, but that's a whole other thing.
Right? No, Fry. I mean, that kind of happened with my family, to be honest with you. Like around the 40s, they used to be called Ross, but then they came to America and they changed it to Porter. I don't know why. I don't know what happened in Poland in the 40s, but sometimes you got to change your name. And it's one of them things.
Poland in the 40s.
Yeah, I don't know. Something happened. Family had to change.
Yeah, something happened for sure.
Some things happened. Yeah,
Something definitely happened in Poland in the 40s.
Unfortunate. I think there was like a storm or something. Sure. But this ain't about history. We're here to talk about Hostile Array, which I have always.
Well, I mean, we could
Brendan,
talk about the
I've said this
history
to
of Hostile Array.
Of course, we're gonna talk about that.
If
But I
that's
always wanted
okay.
to just say, like, there's no. It better be.
yeah. No, I mean we can get into whatever. Honestly,
We can talk about the future of Hostile Array if you prefer,
we can touch on both. It doesn't matter to me.
or even the present.
I like. All I know is the entire time I've known Brendan, my favorite thing to say to him is that, like, it's one of the coolest band names ever, Hostile Array. I mean, for me, it just like reminds me of like monster movies or something. I don't know what it is. It just sounds dope. So I think we should start there. How did you come up with such a dope ass band name?
Sounds mathematical.
It's actually
Geometric.
our guitarist actually came up with that. Garrison. He's he's my brother. But he and I were like trying to figure out band names.
Hell yeah, Dirty Gary. I'm sorry. That's what I call my friend Garrison, is Dirty Gary.
Cool. We got a good new nickname for him. But yeah, no, he was proposing all kinds of things. We were kind of shooting things back and forth. And when we first started off the band, it was a little bit more politically slanted and kind of wanted something that kind of felt like it leaned in that way a little bit. So like Hostile Array is to be like in opposition of something. And so as we kind of switched focuses as far as themes go and our music and everything, it's kind of taken on new meaning for us. Just kind of, I guess just kind of being in opposition to the status quo and how we treat things like mental health and people that are less privileged in society and things like that. Because we kind of touch on a lot of that in our music. So,
All right, I can dig it.
but yeah, kind of just rolled with that. So it's a loose interpretation. But
I have a question. Where are y'all from?
Yeah, so we're based out of Central Maryland.
All right, cool. It's
So,
a very, very good area right now. It seems like.
Yeah. So we're we have some members that are in like the Baltimore region, Annapolis, and then I actually live in Frederick, Maryland, which is like about as far west as you can get before you get into Western Maryland. So, but still part of the central part. But yeah, like about an hour from like DC area.
Right on.
Oh yeah. So we got the name. So how does like the band come together? How does like, obviously perhaps you and your brother had like an idea and then it formed from there, or?
Yeah, definitely. So Garrison and I, and actually a couple of the other members that are still with us, used to play in a band called My Ransom Soul back in the day. And it was definitely a lot more on like, I mean, we all kind of grew up in church. So it was kind of the like the Christ core scene and everything, and kind of really got into that. But as we grew up and our tastes changed and our beliefs changed and everything, we kind of figured, hey, we need to lay that to rest and kind of start fresh with something new. So the final lineup of that band ended up starting Hostile Array. And so 4 of the guys that we started this band with are still here. Our old bassist, who's still a good friend of ours, actually left, and that's when we brought in our new bassist, Brody. And that's kind of it right there. It's just kind of, you know, from the ashes of one band, built something new. So,
Well, heck yeah. Like, I mean, for a lot of people, like, I feel like with a direction change and like a sound change and everything, most people find it right not to like drag an old band name trying to do something new with it. Instead of like, if you have a new direction, a new mindset, and like a new direction, it's always good to just start fresh band. And it's just like with Hostile Array, I think you guys have definitely built something that you guys can be proud of, without a doubt.
thank you. I appreciate that. It was really weird transition for me because like I started playing with Myron's and Soul when I was like 13 or 14 years old. And I'm 29 now. So, you know, I ended up killing that band off when I was in my, you know, my mid 20s and then started something new. And it's really weird, like looking back on having a band name that followed you for so long, like at least in our own local scene, and like people judging you off the things that you did when you were like 14 to 16 years old, and like not even giving like newer music a chance or giving you a chance to really like evolve as a person, let alone musically. So I think it was one of those things where it's like, okay, no, we need a new name, we need a new sound, and we need to, you know, kind of let go of the past and move on to the next thing.
Oh yeah, nostalgia, judgmental people with nostalgia seem to be the worst, because it's just like, it seems like their memories trapped in like a certain time, and then that image of you or your music that's forever like encapsulated, and it's like their brain doesn't branch off to new, it's stuck in the past. And it's just like, I feel like for a band that's trying to like go in a new direction, do different stuff, like you can't do that if you're always constantly trying to feed people stuck in the past. Like there's no moving forward trying to appease that, you know?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. So, I know you guys have been having like a very healthy release schedule. I believe Wounds was your last song that you guys just released, correct?
Yeah, definitely. That was released what, like, is it July? Yeah, I think we released that in July. Yeah, because we had 3 singles that we worked on last year and put one out in February, put one out in April, and then put another one out in July. We also had a collab we did with an EDM artist called Sphinx that came
Yeah.
out in May. So like honestly, this past year has been a lot healthier release cycle than we've been able to do in the past. Because I think after our full length came out in 2018, we were kind of like ready to even change even more and evolve musically, but we didn't really know where we wanted to go. So it was kind of just testing the waters with a few singles here and there. And this past year, I think, has been a place for us to kind of experiment and put some new sounds out that we hadn't really played with before, while still trying to, you know, bring a little bit of where we came from with us as well. And trying to find that balance has been interesting, but it's been a lot of fun to kind of just try new things and see how people react. You know, because I mean, some people love the new stuff, some people might not like every single song we put out, but that's fine. They don't have to like every single song, and that's kind of the point, is to, you know, give someone a little bit of everything, is kind of how we've been approaching it.
I don't know, man. I think they should like every song personally.
Well, I would love that as well. I'm hoping people kind of are able to see the big picture of what we're trying to do, and not you know, judge it based on just like one thing here and there. You know, just trying to really build out a diverse repertoire of songs that can kind of show what we can do and what we are capable of.
Yeah, because like the EDM like remix and stuff, like that's not even like a new concept for you guys. You guys have done that before in the past, correct?
Yeah, actually, the first time we had an EDM type release come out, it was actually kind of like the EDM hardstyle of music with a Russian DJ named Reliner. He reached out to us on Instagram one day after we released our song Devil. back in the end of 2020. And he's like, hey, I really like your song. I would love to do like an EDM remix. And he sent us some samples of his music, and we're like, what the hell? Why not? Let's try it out. Ended up really liking what he did there and decided to go with that, and worked with a couple other people. Matt from Pulses has a project name called Bad Luck, right? I think so.
Are you talking about his EDM thing, this remix?
Yeah.
It's called, I think it's like Bad Licks.
Man, I don't know.
Look it up real quick.
I need to double check because I know he takes the vowels out of the names. I'm like, oh no, like on the spot, I'm forgetting what it is.
Well,
Yeah, it's Bad Lick. It's
Yeah.
BDLCK. Bad Lick.
That's right. Yeah.
I think. Yeah, Bad Lick. BD Lick.
Now I'm questioning myself because
I think- 'cause I-
BDLCK.
Well, because like I think I asked him about it once, and he said he called it BD Lick. I think maybe. I don't know.
Now I've like completely like messed.
Yeah.
Matt, if you see this, I'm sorry. I never had to actually say your artist name out loud. It's always been in text.
I've always just read
mean,
it. That whole
I'm
weird
over
line.
here saying Bandusi instead of Bandussy. So I totally know.
Well, besides the point of pronunciation, he actually worked with us on a remix of our song Bloom as well, which turned out pretty cool. So shout out to Matt. But yeah, no, it's definitely not something we've shied away from in the past. But as far as like the working with Sphinx, that was like the first time we had done like an original song as a collaboration with someone instead of just a regular remix. So that was a lot of fun to approach that.
Yeah. I mean, the songs sound fresh, and I think it's always good for artists to like branch out and do different stuff like that, because it's like not only is it like kind of like expanding on audiences, it's also getting creative with your own stuff, just kind of show that you're not like you're post-hardcore. I've always felt like post-hardcore is one of those genres where you're supposed to experiment, you're supposed to do different stuff. Like it's so an all-encompassing genre. There's so many different bands that like subscribe to the label, and you can always just be screamo, singo, breakdown, and like there's lots of people that follow that, but there are so many creative forces in the genre that try to like push those boundaries, and I'm always a fan of that.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that. I mean, just look at like what has been considered post-hardcore over the years. You had everything from Seosin to Dance Gavin Dance to literally everything under oath considered post-hardcore in some things. It's like no matter what you look at it, there's so many things that encompass that versus like something like metalcore or metal. People start debating what is that and what isn't that, and it's like who cares? Just make what you like.
Yeah. End of the day, that's the most important thing I've always found. And not to disregard the Pulses mention. We love Pulses here. Pulses is awesome, and I know you guys both played Blue Ridge last year, correct?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was an interesting time, a good time, but interesting because
that was the first Blue Ridge, huh?
Not the first Blue Ridge, but the first Blue Ridge of that size.
Yeah.
And let's just say some things could have been smoother. Not to get into too many details there because I don't like to,
They had kinks to work out.
Yeah, they got some things to work out.
Let's not kink shame.
Yeah, let's. Yes, exactly. Yep. Well, we'll leave it at that for that particular point.
We'll leave it at we hope they did better this year.
Yeah. But I mean, honestly, and despite any of the headaches that might have come along with that festival, it was still a hell of a good time, and it was really a good opportunity for I think a lot of our bands to just get in front of new people. I know we personally really lucked out because our stage was right beside Spirit Box, and everyone knows how fucking huge Spirit Box has become in the last year or so. And we played right before they went on, and so everyone's coming over to see Spirit Box. I'm like, fuck yeah, we get to kind of give them a little taste of something while they're waiting for them to come up. So it was definitely good timing for us.
Worked out for the best. That's always good.
Oh yeah.
It's like, how can he talk negatively about his experience if he got that little like achievement right there? You got to go right as Spirit Box, and it's just like, how can you hate on that? You can't.
Like I said, despite all the headaches that might have come along with some of the logistics, it was still a hell of a good time for sure.
And I just think I think that's just coupled with the fact that we're living like I would love to say post pandemic world, but I think that Blue Ridge was one of the first like big festivals to go on while everyone was navigating the beginnings of like a pandemic festival world. I don't know how to best
Yeah.
describe it, because it's like we're still dealing with it, you know?
Yeah, it felt really weird from like a personal experience being at a festival with that many people after being locked inside for the most part for, a year and a half, just, not really being around people to just all of a sudden being around that many
Yeah.
people. Having artist access gave me a little bit more of a comfortable experience where I didn't have to like actually be like in the crowd. It could be like beyond the barrier to kind of watch a lot of the other artists. But still, it was just at times like borderline like unnerving for me because I'm like, I've literally been at home, working from home, hanging out at home for the most part with only like a small bubble of people for like the last year or so, and then just thrown into thousands of people.
Blows up at once.
Yeah. It felt very strange, but it was nice though at the same time to be back around people for sure.
Because pandemic for us was definitely I feel like both a very strange time and probably very lucrative for us because a lot of our favorite heroes and musicians were stuck at home and capable of doing interviews. So I think we lucked out a little bit and got a couple interviews we probably wouldn't have gotten. But
that plus like all these bands who like weren't doing anything suddenly had some time to do some stuff, and so kind of worked out for us. Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, as a whole, I would say very much a negative thing that happened, negative experience. We shouldn't make that light of it, but
I think everyone had to have found like if
I think you got to change your perspective.
Yeah. I think that whole experience, there's pros and cons, right?
Have a positive outlook on what happened.
Yes, for sure.
I feel it. So I guess we should probably, since we've been jumping all over the place, maybe we should take it back and try to like maybe explain to everybody what it is you do for the band and like how you started doing it.
You haven't asked that yet? I feel like we should have started with that.
Brendan's the homie. Obviously, I've been following homie for a minute, so it's just like I get excited and I like dig onto things that I want to dig onto. But I mean, we're like 20 minutes in. We should at least give people some backstory on Brandon here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I mean, for anyone,
where does this story all begin? Let's get the very beginning.
So yeah, for anyone that doesn't know already, I sing for the band and also one of the main songwriters. So I've been involved in playing music probably since I was like 12 or 13, started bands with like my brother and his friends. Pretty much most of my serious projects have been with our guitarist Garrison, my older brother. Him and his friends kind of got me into a lot of the heavier music. Before that, I kind of really gravitated towards more of the pop punk side of things and everything. And growing up in church environment, it was a lot of bands like Project 86 and things like that kind of really broke the ice for me to get into like heavier music. Anything from like Solid State Records and eventually like Face Down Records was like the intro into that. And then for me, I think the big turning point was getting my hands on They're Only Chasing Safety album from Under Oath. Hearing Spencer's vocals on that made me want to mimic and replicate that. And I just kind of went for it and taught myself how to do it. I don't know how I learned. I was just really determined, and there was a lot of improper technique and scratching my throat up, and even a couple times I think of spitting up blood. So I definitely was doing the wrong thing the wrong way. But thank God for YouTube and the videos on the internet that eventually showed me how to do things properly to preserve my voice. That's kind of really that, and like bands like Linkin Park were the ones that really kind of set that foundation for me to want to get into music. Like I mentioned before,
Yes.
Played for many years in a Christcore band, Myron's and Soul, and then eventually now I'm here, doing this now. So, and definitely the thing I'm most proud of so far in my music trajectory has been this project for sure.
Oh yeah, I feel that, dude. I have like a similar like backstory for like how I became a vocalist, and like it was through like a Presbyterian youth group, and a lot of the band the only things they could listen to were like The Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah.
He is like Under Oath and like Flyleaf, shit like that, where it was just kind of like Christcore basically.
Yeah.
Ryan, you never told me this. That you
I told
Yeah.
you one girl, like everyone was like, how do you scream? And I was just like, I could just kind of do it. I randomly
just
did
do
it at a Christian youth group at a Presbyterian youth group night, and I just was playing tag with the homies or something, and I just randomly yelling, and I could. But just like Brendan, it's like there was a lot of trial and error, because it's like back in the YouTube tutorials didn't really exist. Like it was a lot of just like trying to mimic. And I mean, Melissa Cross had teachings back then, but you couldn't, unless you bought that, like you weren't gonna like learn how to do that from, it was a lot of trial and error. And I'm sure Brandon, like I have stories too, I lost a lot of that upper higher range just from improper technique, and spitting up blood's always not fun.
dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
y'all
The
should have done
thing-
the way I did it. I just waited for everyone to leave where I lived, and then just got drunk and went on YouTube and just figured out how to do it in a night.
I mean, that's how it went down. I eventually found proper screaming tutorials on YouTube when they became more of a common thing, because it was not common for a long
And
time.
also,
Yeah.
like early on, like people couldn't really didn't know how to explain it. Who could do it? Like the whole like was it fry vocal kind of thing? Like they didn't know. People who didn't have like training didn't know how to like actually vocalize, like how to like actually like explain fry vocals.
Oh yeah, it's still even hard to this day to like articulate. Like you can articulate techniques to like help make it easier to activate that stuff. But if I were to like sit here and be like, it's just like
It's
the clip.
the Kim Kardashian voice, and then you kind of have to press your make
I don't
your
think I've-
diaphragm or whatever. It's like no one knows what the fuck that means unless you're like.
I don't think I've ever heard someone use Kim Kardashian as an example, and that's hilarious.
Well, it's like it's the fry vocal. It's like exactly.
Is Kim
But-
Kardashian fry vocals? Am I not? Am I?
She does that. She talks like you know what I'm talking about, like like the Valley Girl kind of like thing.
Growing
like,
up, that was just called like the Grudge Girl talk. Like,
or whatever. I mean, whatever you want to. Okay, yeah, Grudge Girl, that works too. I mean,
yeah, I've heard that more often because it's a little more easier to like relate to. I didn't know Kim Kardashian talked like a Valley Girl. I don't think I've ever heard Kim speak.
you never watched the Kardashians?
No, I have shit to do with my time. I'm sorry.
I mean, I used to watch it with my ex, and I don't know, it was actually pretty good. There's some stuff I want to go back and like make gifts out of.
That's what those shows are good for, right? Just finding like
absolutely. Like there's
Theme
one like really big. There's one example that like I really have to do, and it's it's Caitlyn. I mean, before her transition, she says these kids they're living in cyberspace or whatever, and it's just like I don't know. It was I don't know. It's something about it was just like it was like this needs to be a gift. I got to make this someday.
All I know, I think the only thing I watched from the Kardashians was one dude was just quoting The Notebook and shit, and he was trying to like impress his girl.
Also, like my mom watched it all the time too, so it was like I had lots of exposure to Kardashians like in a lot of ways. A lot of trashy TV growing up.
I'm learning Kardashians in this episode than I ever have in my own waking life.
Yeah, I feel like I'm learning more about this than even after the whole Kanye dispute.
Did you see what he put on his story the other day?
Which one?
The England, I know how it feels to lose your queen or whatever.
Was that actually real? Was that a real story?
I think it was actually real.
I can't tell anymore. Usually I have to like double check his
I know.
page.
It was like I kind of wanted to like go on there and make sure, but like I think it was actually real because I saw like AV Club like wrote an article about it.
Yeah.
So I was like, they probably might actually be real.
Oh my god.
Like I don't think like being at that level of stardom where your like decisions are like newsworthy. Like I don't know. I don't think I would ever want to be that popular where people are just like, this guy's crazy.
Or the inverse and automatically say everything's genius. It's like there's no in between. It's either genius or
It
crazy.
really is like that. Like that with Kanye. It's like he's either like this is like years ahead in the or like he's insane. There's no. It's just a binary at this point for him.
Like being a niche genre lover, like post-hardcore, I'm kind of glad that there isn't. I mean, there definitely are people out there with egos and inflated senses of self-celebrity.
Hell yeah, Ronnie Radke.
Oh no! Now he's gonna be coming for us.
Right in the Hostile Array episode. Darn.
That's right. That's right. Gonna go viral just because shit talking
Wow,
about
if Ronnie Radke wants to start a feud with us, I'll be honest, I'm not going to be complaining because he's got a lot of followers. Seems like decent exposure.
Shout out Patrick Teal, Ronnie Radke's sworn enemy. Anywho, aside Kardashians and Radke's, that sounds like a band name, doesn't it?
Ronnie.
Hey, we're coming for you. Besides that, so like you were talking about like Under Oath being one of those bands that kind of like flipped a switch for you. Like in your younger years, like you mentioned like Solid State like records and stuff like that. Were there any shows that you went to and you can recall like going and just like seeing musicians play these songs and or just a show where you're just like, I want to do this. I want to do this for life.
Yeah, no, I think some of the like the earlier shows that I went to that like really clicked for me as being like this is what like I really want to do with my time was I remember going to in Baltimore, Rams Head Live. They had it was the Devil Wears Prada, Chiodos, and Emery, and I can't remember who opened that show, but it was Scary Kids Scaring Kids. That concert still stands out to me as like one of the best concerts I ever got to go to in my youth, and it was incredible.
That tour package was really good. I'm not gonna lie, I saw that tour, and yeah, that shit was fire.
Just the energy from that show, I was like, this is the kind of thing that I want to do. Like, I want to be a part of this, and like really, like, because I had already started playing shows around that time and everything, but it was more of just kid playing in a band. That's when I think it started to click for me that it was like that. This is the vibe I want to live in, if possible.
Yeah, I feel that, dude. Those were some, I mean, you grew up in like the peak years. I mean, like that Devil Wears Prada Chiodos, that was like 2007, 2008, which I always feel like those years, like 2005 to 2000, I want to say 8. I don't want to put 9 in there because I feel like 2009 Facebook, MySpace died, and that was just such a stick.
Like,
started
this
to
whole
go
switch
downhill
to
a little bit.
crapcore after that is like around that time. Yeah.
It was I think it was just a time where everybody was hitting like home runs out of the park. And I feel like the level of competition within bands trying to outdo one another, it was enough to just fuel all these festivals from Taste of Chaos, Warped Tour to just great tour packages like that. It was just a good time. And I feel shame for anybody that didn't grow up during that time. I'm sorry you didn't go through the greatest time of post-hardcore music.
I was, in 5th grade, so kind of missed out on that.
I feel like you're right about the like the 2009, 2010 trend, because like before that, like the earlier days of MySpace, I feel like people were just kind of experimenting, doing whatever the fuck they wanted. By like 2009, 2010, everything started to become like really down to a formula, and I think that's when things started to decline. Like the music wasn't bad, but everyone was just copying off of everyone else of what sold.
It was like the record labels caught on, basically.
Right, because it was no longer this, it was no longer this brand new thing, and people were just kind of coming at it with whatever perspective they had. It was, oh, there's a formula now that's proven to sell. How much can we capitalize on this? And then it just kind of imploded.
Yeah, every band was just like breakdown, Cookie Monster vocals, more brutal. everyone sing as high as possible. Come on, there's gonna be a hit in here somewhere.
Yep,
And
exactly.
it's just like, plucking like swoopy haired white boys off the streets to like make these bands. It was literally, they were like boy bands basically. And so
They
it was
were.
like, and I mean, yeah, and I mean, like, obviously, like, they're talented musicians, but like, it didn't necessarily, the way the record labels put them together didn't necessarily like get you the best product always, I guess, is kind of what I'm getting at. So
Oh, for sure. No, the boy
Yeah.
band factor was definitely there. And I think people got burnt out on it. And then you saw like the scene kind of split into all these different areas where you had like kids would be like, no, I'm going to go to like the original hardcore roots. And they just get into their local hardcore scene and only listen to hardcore bands and try to cover up their chest piece that they got when they were super into metalcore. Or you'd have the kid that like, would, trade his skinny jeans for a pair of, boots and everything and just go off to, the whole indie rock kind of thing. And I feel like that
oh dude,
all just kind of, everyone just kind of left that scene, which like there's nothing wrong with any of those types of music, but like, it was like, it just kind of imploded. And I feel like you didn't see things start to kind of turn around until like the whole emo revival you've seen in the past couple of years, where it's like, oh, like that whole culture kind of started to come back and the heavier side of it came back as well. And you're actually starting to see some of that now.
Without a doubt. And I feel like the 2010s were definitely, you had giant pillar bands that kind of held everything up.
Yeah.
And then,
everyone kind of just surrounding them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like everyone was just trying to pull each other down, and it's like, who's getting canceled, but who's not selling good, who's not doing. And then you just had a lot of people just come to light that they're shitbags and shit, and it's just like, I feel like our scene definitely got like roughed up a little bit.
And
Yeah.
like, I keep seeing tweets about people being like, oh, I miss when the Lumineers and like whatever and like Vance Joy or whatever got big or whatever in like 2014. I'm like, I feel like that shit all like kind of took a lot of air out of the scene too, like around that time. And like a lot, or like, and more than just the scene, but like alternative music, I think kind of like got replaced by like this like
Country?
indie, well, not country, but like folk and like, and it was stuff that like really I don't think could capture the same energy, I think was the thing. And so it kind of like derailed it. And even though for some people seem to be very fond of that time, but I don't know, it feels like it took a lot of air out of things that were happening.
The corporate folk indie stuff. Yep.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, some of that music was cool. I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
I didn't hate some of it, but like, it's just another trend,
Exactly. I guess more what I'm saying is like, kind of like gave it a premature death, even if it was already kind of dying, I think. So it kind of really sped it up. And then, yeah.
I feel like
even that stuff didn't last that long though either. So
yeah.
I definitely feel like with trend, let's call it trend core. How about that? I feel like things that were like trendy or viral, or things that kind of just like popped up from like a YouTube video or just some viral clip, where there was no real sense of community behind it. And like for stuff like that, it doesn't create a longevity, because I mean, you can only like party it up in the comment section of a YouTube video for so long before like, oh, well, no one's watching this anymore, or no one's listening to this anymore. It's time to move on to the next thing. Like what's more popular, what's more hip now. And I feel like post-hardcore core music in general, there's always been like a sense of community and respect for like longevity and nostalgia, legacy acts. And I feel like with that, I feel like it helped it stay. Well, post-hardcore is not anywhere near the same level of echelon that it used to be. Like the sense of community has given it that factor to kind of like survive through to the point where we got like When We Were Hungry, like When We Were Young festival, I should say, and stuff like that, to kind of capitalize and cash in on the nostalgia, that it's not like as obscure as it was in like 2018 or 17, where it's like, we don't have Warped Tour anymore, we don't have this anymore. It's just like, you guys are stuck to house shows and venues, small bars and venues.
And I think the other thing is like, I think around the mid like teens, tens or whatever, I think that's kind of when like, I think rap really peaked though, like as a genre. I think that was probably the peak too. And I think, which I think was really cool. We had really cool rap, like really cool rap scene for a while.
I feel that, and it's the same
It
thing that
kind of
happened.
like it kind of supplanted rock basically at that point. It finally
Yeah,
did. So
Yeah. Well, I feel like a
it,
lot of people also saw the success that like a lot of underground like rap artists had and everything, just using the internet as a platform.
absolutely.
And I think they people started to realize that it didn't necessarily matter what was popular in their local scene, that there was so many different types of people you could reach on the internet, that I think the success of underground rap really kind of opened it up for all music genres to, kind of rethink how they were approaching things. So it didn't matter, can you plan a, 10-day tour around your region? It's more so, okay, who can you reach on the internet and will they actually listen to your shit?
Exactly. I mean, like you don't, and that's kind of the thing is you don't need to be like heavy hitters anymore. Really, I mean, I guess you can. I mean, to make money, I guess, but like you can still get lots of followers and listens without being like a huge band. It's like everything's way more spread out because of the access to music. So
Right. It honestly starts to feel like kind of like the MySpace days again without like the centralized platform.
mm,
Like people I think are actually like hungry for new music, no matter the genre, and for someone to try something kind of new and not really just put out the same old stuff that everyone does. And I think
exactly,
I think it's actually a really exciting time for music.
it really
It's
is.
probably the
Yeah,
most excited I've been since the MySpace days.
and I
I
feel like there's probably like lower barrier for people to enter like to like get into like rather obscure bands than there were even in like the MySpace days because it's just like
oh yeah.
there's what like 8 like apps or whatever you can use to like reach like almost any band in the world. So
Yeah, exactly. You just kind of have to know what your market is and try to, advertise to them. And I know it's easier said than done. I know we're still trying to figure it out every day, but I mean, I feel like it's one of those things. The more time you put into figuring it out, the easier it is to reach those people.
mhm,
I mean, for any young aspiring artist or just anybody trying to like get a knack for that, like advertising in the current era, do you have any words of wisdom on that? Because I mean, as someone that has followed you for a while, I admire what you do on the internet, man. You guys are kicking ass, and like your Spotify, just like is a cool place to be.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. It's definitely a lot of hours put into that, a lot of missteps and trial and error to like try to even get the semi-small but growing following we're starting to get. It's we've tried a little bit of everything. For us, we do put a lot of time and effort into just it doesn't sound cool or sexy or anything like that, but just old school advertising of actually paying for placements and ads. Things like Instagram ads are great for people trying to have people discover their music. TikTok, I know people say all the time about how it can be a difficult platform for a band to use, but I mean it's not a bad place to start gaining traction. I know that I'm not always the best myself with creating new content and everything, but I mean you can't knock it till you try to put it out there, places like that. And don't be afraid to reach out to, independent curators and stuff like that on various platforms. Avoid the pay to play ones for sure. But, there's random people out there that have playlists on Spotify and Apple Music that might not seem huge, but they start adding up over time. If you just send emails to people and say, hey, check this out. Do you like our music? And if you do, hey, maybe add it to your playlist. And, even if it's them and 20 of their friends listening to that playlist, that's 20 more people that you wouldn't have reached to before directly on the platform you're trying to get them on. So, I mean, spend way too much time emailing people. I wish I could spend more time writing music and less time emailing people, but that's where I end up a lot of the time.
no, I feel
It's
that. Hey, give me once. I gotta let my cat out, but y'all keep
oh,
talking.
I'll keep them preoccupied. I mean, that's always good, solid advice. I find to like just keep consistent and stay with it, and definitely don't be afraid to shake some trees that you haven't shaken before, because you never know what will come out. 20 monthly listeners out of a freaking tree, man. Who never know?
Exactly, man. And I think like everyone's at the end of the day trying to figure it out. Everyone's talking about different marketing tactics and everything. And I know I'm still trying to figure it out, but I can learn from what not to do. Like I said, never be one of those guys that pays on to a sketchy playlist or something like that. That's definitely something I've seen even
Yeah.
legitimate, even like semi-legitimate influencers and stuff like that. I'm not going to name any names. I've seen people say, hey, buy onto this playlist or hook up with this curator that, has like 20,000 followers on their playlist and it's a bunch of bots. Like, avoid the bots at all costs.
Yeah. Because like to anyone who doesn't know and or you haven't released music yet, or maybe you just aren't aware, but if Spotify detects that you are listening, your music's being listened to by a lot of suspicious sus accounts, they can just reset your play count, or they can just take your music off, and all that money you spent to your distro can just not matter because Spotify decided to, or any platform, because I mean some people go through Apple Music and it's just like, so everyone handles bots differently, but I mean there are those that say, hey, even the mainstream audience, like those people use bots and stuff, but it's just like, well, you're a local band, you're not going to
Yep.
be able to access some mainstream bots that can bypass all that bullshit, because 60,000 bots in India are just going to arouse the wrong kind of attention from whoever's distributing your music.
Right. And those mainstream bots are usually like things that are used to pad for like a number 1 release. It's like the person's in number 3 on the Billboard and they want to get to number 1, they pad that stuff. And when you get to that level, everything's a little bit rigged, I feel, but
you're like there's a certain amount of money you got to put into that kind of thing. Like,
well, not only that, I think the thing that people forget to talk about the most when people start considering like, padding their play count is that it can destroy your algorithm. And again, that natural organic play on Spotify, either via like Spotify Radio or Discover Weekly and stuff like that, you'll completely tank it if you pad it. And I've seen that happen to artists. That happened when I was first trying to figure out streaming platforms. I got duped into getting on some random playlist and I saw our algorithm completely tank. I was like, nope, this isn't right. As soon as I corrected that, Discover Weekly started kicking in and started actually exposing this to new people. I'm like, well, there you go. So don't do the pay to play scam. They're scams.
Don't pay to play. It really don't. And it doesn't matter if it's a playlist or a venue, it's usually not the pay to push yourself ahead. I mean, definitely use that. Like, if you're gonna pay for something, pay for an ad, pay for
Ryan to promote you.
I'll try to help. I'm just some guy that just posts your shit out there. I mean, I don't have access to bots. I wouldn't even know how to use bots, but I will try to.
You want to make some bots, Ryan? Get your shit really popping?
How do you gonna educate me? Because I am not informed.
I'll look it up. I'm gonna do how to make bots on the internet.
I mean, if anyone wants my recommendation, what I usually do for my clients or anybody that I try to help out with music, I just use playlisting websites like Submit Hub or dailyplaylist.com. I think that's it. Like, I try to do that because that's about as like, that, or if you're scrolling Facebook, you see Facebook groups, people are making playlists, throw your homies out there, man. Just like, that's what I try to do. And that's the best you can do if you're trying to do it organic. I mean, if you want to pay for ads, definitely do pay for ads, because I mean, Facebook's gonna rob you blind. I'm not gonna lie to you, but if you use targeting, adding stuff, like, you can definitely work the system in your favor. Don't go into it blind. Look up a how to, ask somebody that's done it before you. It's a lot of trial and error, but you'll learn. And if you can't figure it out, find someone who has done it before. There's always wisdom out there. And I think for any budding, growing musician, definitely form a community. Community is important. Make friends. Don't be that cool guy with your arms folded in the back. Nobody knows who that guy is. Don't be that guy. I definitely would not be that guy. Brandon, are you that guy?
I try not to be. I definitely try not to be. I feel like usually I'm someone that's a little bit more sociable, so I try not to be the guy arm folded in the back unless it's been a really bad day, but that's completely different.
It's okay sometimes to be the guy with your arms folded in the back. We all have bad days sometimes.
Yep.
It's healthy.
Can't be all good days.
Do you have any questions? I mean, how's your cat? Is your cat doing okay, Cash?
Well, that's the big cat, and I don't know. He's kind of an asshole, and so he likes to go outside and stuff. But not that that makes him an asshole. He's an asshole in other ways, but like he likes to go outside and go like roam and stuff. He
Be an
needs his
asshole.
energy. But he did, I guess he was being annoying just a minute ago. So that's kind of the asshole part. He's very antisocial until
Cat
he needs something. Basically,
Like,
that's what I'm trying to
in
say.
the backyard. Your cat's in the backyard with his arms folded. I get it.
Exactly. Brendan, do you have any pets?
I do. I have a dog that actually tried to sneak down here a little bit ago, and I had to text my wife to tell her to please come get the dog because he was crying at the door. I was
I
like,
feel you.
please
I mean,
don't let him be barking right now.
I think my other cat got in the frame of our episode yesterday for a second and then immediately left. She's sweet. She's
Tail
cool. Yeah.
float across the screen kind of deal.
Yeah,
right?
she was like right up here and like walked across, I think, right when I was like introducing, but I don't know how much got into it. But
I think it was a good. I think for as far as lines go, we had a good guest right there.
oh yeah,
Bring some of the cat audience. People love cats. Why didn't you bring them today? Brandon needs that cat power. I mean, come on.
That's right.
I mean, I guess I can see if I can find her real quick if you really want me to. She won't mind if I like pick her up and put her on screen. The other cat would be very angry if I did that though.
Gonna work that cat up.
Find her real quick.
We'll find. But so any other plans for Hostile Array coming up? You guys got any more music coming out or any cool show dates or anything that you wanted to let off viewing audience, listening audience in on?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have too many details on it yet, but we got 2 more songs we just wrapped up sessions for. So just finalized those tracks and have sent them off to get reviewed for mixing and mastering. So hoping in the next well, I can't put an actual deadline on it because I always hate to do that without actually having a final product in hand. But hopefully, very soon in the near future, we'll have 2 more songs ready to go, and also working on writing a couple more. So hoping to have enough material here at least to maybe kind of put things together on an album, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Recording costs, they add up over time.
I can dig it.
Yeah, hell yeah, there's a cat. It got better.
Yep, there's a cat on the screen. Look quick, because she doesn't want to stay up here very long.
You can let
Say
her go.
hi. This is Batgirl.
I love cat. I miss cats. I don't have no cats in Mexico. I have dogs.
You
I
have
have
a wolf.
I have wolf hybrids. Yeah, I have.
Can you
the
put them on the screen? Probably not, right?
Hold on, you have wolf hybrids?
Yeah, my roommate he has she's like husky. She's a mix of things like collie, husky, but she was bred with a wolf dog, so she's like a wolf husky mix mostly. But
He's
yeah,
a werewolf.
Oh, that's wild. That's awesome.
yeah, she's massive, and she just had she had babies earlier this year, and that was so much fun. It was so fun taking care of 4 wolf hybrid puppies and a full grown. It was so much fun. But but
Wait.
we still have the puppies, and we have the wolf hybrid. Her name's Shelly, and her child's name is Dot. They're cute. So I
Have
mean,
you seen I Love You, Man?
I have not for a. I think I saw it when it first came out on like video, and Blockbuster was still a thing. But
Probably DVD then. But
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think they have it on VHS. That'd be cool too, though. Because there's like this line in it that I think is hilarious, and it's like they're like, fuck. Jason Segel's like, you're talking about hybrid cars. I thought you were talking about hybrid animals or whatever. And he's, I don't know. You just look it up on YouTube. It's hilarious.
I'll have you know, Cash, I am old enough to remember when Blockbuster did serve VHSs.
Me too. I remember that too.
The early 90s. I remember the transition. I remember when it used to be mostly VHS, and then they had like a DVD section for just the new releases. And then I remember when they started phasing out the VHS. And then I remember right now that I'm very old.
Remember GameSpot? That was in there, right? Is that what it was? GameSpot?
Yeah, I think they had
I think that was called GameSpot.
I was in Hollywood Video, isn't it? They had like the game. like
Well, they
game
had like a branded like game area that was like they try to act like it was a different store,
it was all
but it
tough
was.
and fence around it.
Mhm.
Inside a carpeted room store.
Yeah, and I was like, "Can I buy, Dad? Can I get God of War?" And he's like, "No, you cannot get God of War. You're in elementary school. There's boobs in that."
I feel like I need to do the math on when God of War came out and when you're in elementary school.
I am 26.
Making me feel old, man.
Well,
You're
I
only
feel
20.
old too, so
You're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
you're not as geriatric as I at 33. I mean, I'm pretty ancient. Like my mid coming, dude. It's here. This year I turned 34, and it's just like, oh boy, I
You're
can't believe
matching you're matching our guitarist age. He's I think yeah, he's 33 right now. So
I'm glad I'm not alone.
they
I'm
say
in
33 is the new
40.
23. 33 is the new 30.
Without a doubt, man. It's definitely, I feel like a young, like 18-year-old lad at 33. I get back pain, my knees hurt sometimes. It's great.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Getting old is just your body betraying you.
Yeah. Yep. No, that's
Like,
true.
you thought you had a deal, like you and your body, like saw eye to eye, like, hey, I'll be able to do this, this, and this. Yeah, right. And then one day you're just like, oh man, I can't do this as much as I used to when I was younger. What's going on here?
I'm never getting old.
Hey man, it creeps up on you. I remember like
Yeah.
I had to have like 2 hip surgeries last year. So like I totally yeah.
Jesus,
Was that
man.
after Blue Ridge?
Before Blue Ridge actually. Yeah.
So
I had just finished recovering like a couple weeks before Blue Ridge.
that probably added more like to that like stress of being out in
Oh,
public.
for sure. It was like the first time I was like breaking in the hips. Well, at least the one hip because I had another surgery after that. Like I had like a weird impingement issue that had to be corrected to basically grind down the bone and everything. So
Oh.
I'm good now though.
Back to kicking ass. Hey, dude,
That's
like more
right.
power through that. You know, Grandpa's got his old hips back together.
Dude, for real. Like I get called the old man in the band and I'm not even the oldest one. I'm like right in the middle.
It's the treachery of the body, man. It's betraying you, and it's caused you to be the grandpa.
Yeah.
Gramps.
Yeah, they actually refer to me as dad in the band, and they refer to my brother as grandpa because he's kind of kooky and you know kind of doing his own thing while I'm actually like you know herding the cats kind of deal.
Grandpa Gary.
That's right.
Get on. So let's see. I always wanted to say, like, just in case that I've never told you this, that like I really admire like the single release method that you do, because that is kind of like the tried and true method for like success these days. And the fact that you guys like got 2 more songs coming out, and like just the release schedule, like you get something new every couple months, like I feel like it's works out great for you guys. And the fact that the music's always like really stellar, it always helps too.
Yeah, dude, I really appreciate that. It's I feel like after we released our full length back in 2018, it just we noticed that like you know there was unequal balance of tracks getting attention, and there were you know some tracks that we had released that we had felt that we wanted you know more time to kind of really put into, and some just didn't kind of live up to the same quality that we felt other tracks did. So like we're like, okay, what if we like made this work for us better? And on top of that, like there's you know I heard someone say once that if someone's not going to listen to one song from you, why would they listen to a whole album of it? So that kind of also really changed my perspective on like what kind of model we should be following, because it's like okay, give something to people to like you know keep them engaged and keep developing and getting better, and really take the time to make each song you know as quality as possible, you know, no matter what the idea is. So it's worked out well for us, and it's also worked out as far as like scheduling goes and everything, because it takes a lot of time to sit down and like you know actually record a whole album, versus you know all of us have you know our own careers that we work in. You know, some of us work in you know IT or web development or Some of us are photographers. We all have our own, full-time jobs, and some of us have, like Hector, our one guitarist, has, started a family and everything. It's hard to balance and keep everything consistent. So switching to the singles model just made the most sense for us.
Mm-hmm. You get the most bang for every song that you guys release too. That lets let the people marinate with it more, and it's just like you get more cool. Like I feel like the art you guys do for your singles is always like super sick, and it's like you get more out of it because you're able to release like little like fancy merch drops with it, and I don't know. I very admirable. It inspires me to like better myself as a musician. You know what I mean?
I really appreciate that. And honestly, for the artwork, I got to shout out our bassist Brody. He does all the single artwork. He does all the current merch drops that we've been doing. So if anyone out there needs merch or album art, hit up Brody from Hostile Array. He'll definitely hook you up with some good stuff.
Hell yeah, do it. You're listening, stop the podcast right now, go find Brody and get that art. Hell yeah. Do you have anything you want to ask, Cash?
I mean, are you ever gonna like get all your singles together and do like a compilation?
We have been thinking about that for, I see a lot of short form albums coming out now, everything from, Bill Murray is a perfect example, Johnny Frank specifically. He releases 7-song albums all the time. Was another artist I saw recently, Charlotte Sands is another one I saw recently that released a 7-song album and kind of just took a lot of her singles and put them together. So we've talked about it and have been kind of scheming towards that, but haven't really had any solidified plans yet. But I think we're definitely looking to kind of put them all together and say, hey, this is kind of where we're at, kind of like a checkpoint almost. It's like, hey, this is where we're at and what we've been working on, and then kind of get moving into the next phase of things after the fact. Just mentally just kind of feels different.
Yeah. And you can also, you can sell CDs when they're all together at that point.
That's right.
Yeah.
Get the limited edition vinyl kind of thing going.
Absolutely, yeah.
No one buys CDs. They just go straight for the vinyl now. It's either digital or vinyl.
I mean, sometimes people buy CDs. I almost bought an Animal Jam CD pretty recently, but I was like, I can't carry that around all night and moshing and whatnot.
I'm buying tape decks, and I don't even own like a tape deck player, so it's just like I like having.
You just want them on display.
It's just a nice little bit of nostalgia in my hand, and I'm just like, wow, that's cool.
That has been the trend that has confused me the most is the tape deck stuff. Not because I don't think it's definitely, like you said, the nostalgia aspect is really cool. But like, I've heard the argument for vinyl that people talk about the quality and everything and how like nothing really quite sounds like something on vinyl. And I think about the tape deck and I'm like, hold up, that's not a quality thing because nothing sounds better through a tape deck.
I think, well, not tape decks, but I think 8-tracks were actually like better quality than like digital was at least, but they were just like, so they're like bigger than tape decks. So it didn't like make sense to keep doing them. And plus, also, like, who the fuck has like a tape deck player? You know what I mean? Like,
I want to see someone with an 8-track release now. That's what I need to
see. Absolutely, 8-track release and Laserdisc music videos.
I'm looking for somebody to do a phone, dude. I want some ancient 1920s technology, just like a freaking one of those little like sound tubes that has like the little spindles on them. Music box. That's something.
Oh my god.
We took our band picture with the daguerreotype.
Yeah.
Take the Wu-Tang route, just have a secret album that's only printed on that.
We got what's it? Martin Skelly or Skrelly or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Farmer Bro. Yeah.
Farmer Bro. Yep.
Yeah. Everyone likes him, right?
Wasn't there some like weird thing about him, like I set my friends on fire or something? Like,
oh yeah, he tried out, or he wanted to try out for them or something like that.
What a weird arc.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's gonna be hard for you to tour with them when you're in jail, but
It's okay.
I mean,
Just bankroll. That's all we need. It's just needing for the bankroll.
new albums coming out. Forget Caterpillar 6. It's all about bankroll. Hell yeah.
Hell
But
yeah.
so usually as we draw closer to the end, we like to ask our guests like what have they been listening to recently? And if you got anything on hand, if not, if you need to look at your Spotify and or just shout out some homies if you want to do that, like feel free to.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like the answer for me is always like a little bit weird because I'm probably the one that listens to like the least amount of like post-hardcore and like heavier stuff in the band.
What?
So like I feel like right now a lot of the stuff I've been listening to is like Break-Ins, if you're familiar with Break-Ins at all. And Fem has been a lot of what I've been listening to as well. PHEM have been on repeat for me. Yeah, those are definitely two of the artists there. Definitely a weird
Alright.
influence for me.
Hey, I mean, I dig it, man.
I think we had Travis on the show, and he was a of like if you're playing a post-hardcore band or if you're playing a metal band, whatever, he goes listen to like the furthest thing from what you listen to get like different ideas and just kind of get a break from your own sound so you don't become like a parody of yourself or you're just copying somebody else kind of thing. And
I
I've
don't
always
want to
found
be
Yeah.
like those crabcore boy bands in 2012.
Yeah, I feel like that it actually ends up influencing a lot of the stuff I start writing with because I do a lot of the like the first pass of production work with our band. And you know, I take a lot of production cues from you know, artists that are kind of in that like new wave of alt or even like anti-pop kind of stuff. So a lot of that is huge influence for me. I don't end up doing the final passes on production because I'm not as skilled of an audio engineer. We have a great producer friend that helps us with that, but it really does kind of help bring a different perspective for us, which I really like. So
hell yeah, I'm all about it. Did you have anything else you wanted to ask, Cash? Or
I actually do not. I would have thought of some more stuff, but this one kind of caught me off guard today. But I mean, what?
I came prepared for the homie. We've been
I like rushed home real quick and took a shower, and now we're here.
we're getting back in the swing of things. Me and Cash have been juggling different responsibilities this year, and we've encountered some issues and some fun stuff that's different for us as we've done this podcast now for like what, 2 years now?
2.5.
Yeah, it's going on 3, but I definitely, as everyone can evidently see, I love Hostile Array. They've been the homies for a minute, and I was super excited to get them on here. And I hope everybody enjoys this interview as well as better. If you're not a fan or if you've never heard of Hostile Array, go check them out, dude, because they're so sick.
Absolutely. I dig it.
appreciate the endorsement.
No, do it now. I'm just kidding.
No, you have to finish the episode before
Yeah.
before you can have your Hostile Array.
We have Hostile Array at home.
Exactly.
Yep.
So,
Here in the
fellas,
office
what are we
here.
all eating for dinner tonight?
That's a good idea. That's a good question. I have hamburger meat. I'm thinking of making up some shepherd's pie. We got some mashed potatoes, possibly some peas and carrots. Throw some corn in there, man. You got yourself a stew, baby. Sorry, I've been watching Arrested Development, and I've seen
That's
it.
definitely
Like,
not what he said. That's a bone. He's talking about a bone he pulled out of the trash can.
yeah, you can't throw that away. Everything's a stew, though, baby. If you work towards it, like a good episode.
Exactly. You just gotta keep throwing shit in there.
I strive for the enthusiasm that Carl Weather has. You know, I'm trying, man. I'm trying for the world. Apollo Creed, man. Like, how awesome can you, like, I wish they put him in the Creed movies. That would have been cool.
Didn't he die?
In the movie,
canonically?
yeah, Rocky Universe, he's dead. And
Yeah,
unfortunately,
he got killed by Drago.
Drago, yeah, Drago.
I was like, Drago? Am I talking about Game of Thrones? Or
You just
made
bring
that-
him back with no context. Just
Yeah.
Just act like he never died.
I mean, it's not like that's never been done before.
Continuity is just completely thrown
Like-
out the window.
This is the alternate Rocky universe.
I mean, Rocky.
He won
movies-
the decision the first movie.
Yeah, I mean, every Rocky movie after Rocky 5 acts like Rocky 5 didn't happen. So
You know,
That's fair.
I actually only seen the first. Actually, that's not true. I saw the 2000s one, Rocky. That's just straight Rocky, I
Rocky.
think.
Rocky Balboa,
Rocky Balboa, yeah, that one.
Mason
Which-
the Lion Dixon. I'm sorry that we've turned the end of your episode, Brendan, into a Sylvester Stallone video grab.
Hey, I ain't complaining, man. It's all good.
We're boosting the algorithm. We're gonna get those Sylvester Stallone.
All the keywords. There's a very big crossover. You know, it's one of those Venn diagrams. It's like right in the middle. It's just that's where we are. Post-hardcore Sylvester Stallone. There you go, right there. There we are.
Hell yeah. But was there anything you wanted to address before we sign out here and leave off?
Like the allegations. I'm just
and every
you
interview,
gotta
it's like
stop
you want to
asking
address
that
the
question
allegations.
like that, Ryan. Addressing stuff.
Yes, the only allegations we have right now is that there are
Kicking
two singles
ass.
coming. So we have
Okay,
two
allegedly
new
they
songs
have two singles
so-
coming out.
Allegedly. So just keep an eye out. Find us on our socials and everything. Everything's just at Hostile Arrays. So yeah, hope to have some new stuff out soon.
I mean, it's such a sick band name. I hope everyone that listens to this episode goes Hostile Array. That's a good band name. I'm gonna name my
Oh, yeah.
daughter Hostile Array now.
Please don't do that to
Array
your children.
Porter.
I can't wait for little Hostile Array to get to kindergarten and just start attacking folk.
It's in their blood.
She's got an array of hostile going on. I mean, I'm glad that naming children after bands isn't a thing. I mean, it might be.
I'm sure someone's
Um,
done it.
There's probably someone named Alisana now.
Oh no. Oh no.
I just hope that little baby of Skylit Drive has the proper paperwork.
I mean, Ambrosia, yeah, probably. I mean, there's got to be like a few at this point. Emerosa, definitely.
just gonna
There's
say
definitely someone named
Emerosa.
Emerosa.
Yep.
I hope nobody's named a Graceful. I hope nobody's named Sky Eats Airplane. I hope nobody's named The Devil Wears Prada.
I want to know how many Dance Gavin Dance fans have named their kid Gavin though.
Oh, I mean,
There's probably
it's
a large
quite
number.
a regular thing. to
Probably
me.
an
that I've
uncomfortable number.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a member of Swan Posting for a while, and I've seen people who have regretfully named their babies after certain singers, and it's
Oh, yeah, huh.
no.
Little Baby Cray. I'm just kidding.
Oh man, I mean, I bet you there's still some
Oh.
naming them after Tillian though, but
Oh man,
But- hey,
marijuana, that right there, that subject change of marijuana, so good.
mhm.
But everyone listening, I hope you guys do check out Hostile Array. Brendan, thank you so much for giving us your time today. I feel like this was a great episode. It's great having you here, and you're always welcome back, dude.
Yes,
Thanks.
come back whenever. I'll maybe I'll even show you my other cat.
I'll be here for it.
Hell yeah, dude. We'll have to get you on here again. We'll have to have like a panel episode, get you on here with Pulses or something, and get all the homies in the room.
That'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
we
Love
we'll,
those
we'll get
guys.
Ryan to make some shepherd's pie for all of us. We'll
Yeah.
have a big old potluck.
I was the only one that answered that question of what we're eating for dinner, huh? I
Yeah.
took it with Carl Weathers' discussion. I feel like I've robbed
Personally, I'm trying to
humble-
decide if I want to go to the Chinese food buffet or get pizza.
Chinese food because I don't really have Chinese food out here in Mexico. I have pizza, but
Oh, they
I don't
definitely have Chinese food in Mexico.
Oh, they do. I don't trust everything I eat out here. Just to
Okay, I mean Chinese foods. That one, I think they usually cook those they cook the Chinese food pretty well. So I think
I've had some bomb ass Chinese food in Mexico. I'm not gonna lie. It's just like I don't know where that person got that Chinese food from, so I just don't want to go hop into. I mean, even in
Fair.
I did not like jumping to every every Chinese food place I saw. You got to have your spots, and it's
Everyone's got.
You know,
their
you got to
spot.
get the 3.5 out of stars out of 5 on Yelp.
right.
That's the key, right?
The 3.5. That's right. I've heard that rule.
if they're like food, like was that the food
Maybe
rating on,
actually, I'm gonna get a Taco Bell. Change my mind.
if it doesn't say like B on it, like that Chinese food is trash. If it's a Chinese food place that has an A, it is garbage. It is garbage. They care too much. You want one with a B. That way you know that they're cooking up with some MSG and some grease.
There's a place
Terrible
near.
service.
There's a place near me that's advertised as Chinese and American food, and I can never remember which one you're not supposed to get because everyone always talks about how like one of them will make you sick and one of them is awesome. So I always avoid it because I can never remember which one it is.
All right.
I didn't know.
I mean, you might as well just I think just take the plunge and figure it out, honestly.
Just have regret. Either have the best meal ever or have regret.
Exactly. I mean, big thing here in Dallas is Mexican Chinese food restaurants because they're actually cooked very similarly.
That actually
Some
sounds
stuff.
awesome.
It is.
I'm gonna have to find. I want to go. I need to find a good Chinese food place out here. So I'm definitely gonna be on the hunt. Hopefully, I don't have a situation like Brendan where it's like Labyrinth, where one tells the truth, one like lies to you.
Brendan, what are you gonna have for dinner, or have you already eaten dinner?
It's later over here, so I already ate.
Yeah.
I made myself some chorizo and put it in some quesadillas, so it was good to go.
All right.
Yeah.
I think I'm sold on Mexican food for dinner now.
There you go.
But without a doubt, here I think that'll wrap us up at the Demo Team Podcast. We want to thank Brandon again of Hostile Ray for giving us his time. Was there anything else you wanted to say before we go, Brandon?
I think
anything you want to address, huh?
There's no allegations. There's just new music. No allegations, just music.
Yeah.
Ooh, I bet you someone's named their kid Alexis on fire.
No. Just Alexis. Just Alexis.
That's Alexis. The middle name is on fire.
It's silent though. You don't pronounce it.
Yeah, it's spelled with a P.
It's like a weird name like Enfriere or something like that. Is their middle name?
Yeah, a little asterisk in there somewhere. But I think that wraps us up here for just today. I'm Ryan. Thank you for listening today. Cash, you want to say anything before we go?
No, I'm starving, man. I gotta get out of here.
Hell yeah. We got another one to do today. So thanks so much, Brandon, once again.
Thanks for having me. I'll see you guys.
Take care.
Oh yeah. We'll be seeing you. All right.